Hi, I'm Owen Binks, and you're listening to Weekly Dartscast 180.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Weekly Dartscast, sponsored by Dartwolf. I'm Alex Moss, just with a quick intro before we get into the show. Running solo this week, Burton DeWitt, my co-host, he's away on his holidays this week, but we do still have a busy lineup for you guys on the show this week. We're going to get to 3 guests on the show. The first of them is the reigning WDF Women's World Champion and a player that won 4 out of 4 titles on her return to the Women's Series this past weekend in Germany. Beau Greaves is going to be joining us in a few moments' time. Then you're going to hear from another player making some big waves in 2022. He's won a Challenge Tour title, recently won his first Development Tour title as well. We've seen him on the Pro Tour and we've seen him on the Euro Tour this year. That is Gian Van Veen, going to be stopping by for a chat. And our final guest on this week's show, we're going to bring you a guest from a country that we've never had someone on from before. You're going to hear from Marc Inhelder, who is one of the co-founders of the Swiss Darts Corporation. They had their first 2 events of the new SDC Tour season over the weekend. So we're going to be talking to him all about darts in Switzerland, how he got to start in his own darts organisation and what the Swiss Darts Corporation's plans are for 2022 and beyond. So let's get into the guests. First you're going to hear from Beau, then you hear from Gian, finally you're going to hear from Marc, and then I'll be back at the end to say goodbye. 180! I'm pleased to say I'm joined by the reigning WDF Women's World Champion and the winner of all 4 Women's Series titles this past weekend, Beau Greaves. Thanks for the time again, Beau. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. And there is only one place to start, and that is with the weekend just gone out in Germany. Your return to the PDC Women's Series. You come away with 24 wins, 0 defeats, 4 titles out of the 4 events. I mean, has it sunk in yet just what you achieved at the weekend?
Yeah, I think it has. Obviously, an amazing achievement, no doubt about that. And I was really happy. I just played my game, and I wasn't expecting that. But obviously, it was just amazing to come away. And I've watched a few games back, and I thought I did really well.
We'll come back to that weekend in a moment, but let's circle back a few months. We last had you on our show just after Lakeside, where you made history, becoming the youngest Women's World Champion. What were those next few days, weeks like for you as a World Champion?
Yeah, brilliant. Obviously, had a few comps off after Lakeside, and it was nice to sort of play with that World Championship win in them comps, and I'm loving it. Obviously, it's still massive for me now, and it's been a good year so far.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think the next big event for you after Lakeside was the Scottish Open, then you had the Welsh Open, the Welsh Classic. Did it feel any different walking into the room, turning up to events straight after winning Lakeside, or did it feel the same?
I think it felt the same in a way of just, I didn't really think too much into it, obviously, but I think after Scotland and then I won at Wales, that sort of made me, I was more relieved, obviously winning Wales just after Lakeside, wanted to get another win, but I think that sort of helped my darts in a way, is I'm playing as I'm the one to beat when people are playing me, and I think that's what I never really had before, and it's enjoyable and it's really nice, and everyone's been so lovely to me, so I'm enjoying it.
That weekend in Wales, we did see Lisa Ashton, Fallon Sherrick return to the WDF circuit, and you played both of them that weekend. You beat Lisa 4-3, then you went up against Fallon Sherrick in that final on the stream. What was it like going up against those two again?
Yeah, I think it's one of them. Is obviously they are the top ladies in darts, and obviously at the time I don't know. I think to other people it was like I felt like I had to prove that I could still beat them in a way, but it was never felt like that. Obviously they're extremely hard games to win, but I was just so relaxed, and I just thought just play it as normal as it normally was. I didn't really think too much into it, but it's always a hard game.
So we have to mention that final with Fallon in Wales, because we were fortunate enough to see it on the stream. You were 3-0 down, and you had the 1-2-5 finish, or 1-5-8 finish. You take it to a decider where you break to win. I mean, both of you averaging in the 90s in that game, one of the games of the year. What did it mean to you to win a game like that and play so well in a game like that as well?
Yeah, I think it was massive for my confidence, to be fair. I think obviously after Lakeside I wanted to sort of get a win a comp after that, and obviously playing Fallon I knew I had to play well, and my mum asked me the same question actually, like, what did you feel when you went through it? And I said I didn't really feel much, to be honest. I didn't even realise. Just one of them games where I was behind. I just came back, and then I got into a bit of a swing of things and just started to play my game, and didn't really think about playing Fallon too much. Just sort of did what I normally do, and like I said, just came out on top.
Well, there's been plenty more of titles since then. The Dutch Open, that was a big one. That win moved you to the top of the WDF rankings as well. You've also won in Romania, Australia as well these last few months. How much have you enjoyed, I guess, as well, the travelling as well that you've had whilst having this success as well?
Yeah, obviously, like me and my sister go everywhere together, so I think that helps me a lot. Like a lot of people say, you seem to play better when your sister's there. So just because I'm just so, obviously, I just feel really lucky to be able to just travel everywhere with her. Obviously at 18, and I think I just enjoy. I think I say I enjoy darts so much in my interviews just because I do, and that's why I'm sort of playing so well at the minute. And I'm not going to change anything and just keep enjoying myself while I'm young.
Yeah, you mentioned the enjoyment factor. We've got a few questions from our producer Hannah, who said, in the spirit of trying to keep darts fun, have you managed to work out ways of having some fun, some adventure when travelling for matches to places like Germany or Australia?
I think, honestly, just the main thing is, like I say, I always say I just enjoy myself, and because I'm with my sister, it's just a laugh anyway. So it's just like, I don't really think about playing darts too serious because I'm just so chill with her and just have a laugh with mates and stuff. And then obviously when I play darts, I try and win, but if I don't, I'm not too bothered. But yeah, just doing what I normally do and not thinking too much into stuff, and yeah, just having a laugh.
And I know when we last spoke, we spoke about your karaoke with your family after winning Lakeside. So Hannah wants to know, what's your best way to celebrate a big win, and who's it with?
Oh my god, I don't know. I think I'll be avoiding the karaoke, to be honest, after that. But I don't know. Me and my sister, we went out for a carvery yesterday as like a celebrating thing. I normally just go out with and have like a meal or something, or yeah. No, I don't do too much, but we always make sure we go out and just forget about darts for a bit, I think.
Very nice. And the last one we had from Hannah as well, she wanted to know, what's it been like being so young and having people put a lot of expectations on you within your game? Has it been awkward or difficult to deal with?
I think at the start of when I first started playing a few years ago, and I had a few good wins, and people would say, "Oh, be a world champion, be a world champion." I think that was harder back then, but I think now that Lakeside win was just massive for me. I think after winning Lakeside, that sort of just, I didn't really have any other expectations for myself, and from that point, I've really just calmed down a lot and not thought too much into stuff and just gone with the flow. I think obviously there's a lot more opportunities nowadays, and yeah, I'll be looking forward to see what can come up.
You mentioned there being the world champion. I know you saw it on social media. There was one darts pundit who said that in his opinion you weren't a world champion. What was your reaction when you saw that?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought it was so stupid. Like, obviously I've done a few interviews with Phil before, and I just thought the way he said it, I just thought it was really rude. I didn't really think he's entitled to his opinion, and that's fair enough. But to sort of say something like that on a streaming platform, I thought was a bit, it wasn't nice. But like I say, I know I'm a world champion. I don't need people to tell me that. You know, I don't need anything like that. Like I say, I wasn't too bothered, but it's his opinion, and yeah, that's just what he thinks, and I don't really care, to be honest.
And obviously, there was a lot of support for you off the back of that. People jumping to your defence. Neil Duff as well, the men's WDF champion, he was one of those. So did you take much notice of it, or did you just try and blank it out and get on with your own game?
I think obviously it was nice that people were supporting me and stuff, and I really do appreciate that, reading it and stuff. But like I say, it's just one person's opinion. I wasn't really, to be honest with you, I just laughed. I thought it was just funny. So the stuff he was saying just didn't make any sense. But like you say, that's him, and that's what he thinks. I can't change that, and I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want him to say anything else. I'm not too fussed, but there'll be more said. It's just one of the things you've got to deal with, I suppose.
Well, let's get on to the weekend just gone, and your darts are certainly doing the talking at the moment. Your return to the Women's Series, and if we'd have had £1 for every time someone was asking us when you're going to be playing in the Women's Series, we'd have quite a lot. I can't imagine how much you would have, but what was it that gave you the urge to enter last weekend's events?
I think that was the start of the qualifying to the match play, and I don't know, I just thought, why would I missed a a lot of the first one, because I was still struggling really bad with my darts, and I just thought, that is more serious to me playing PDC. But yeah, I just wasn't ready at the time, and I felt ready that before that weekend, and I thought I'll just give it a go. Like, I didn't really expect to win all four, but I was obviously going to win one, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, it was enjoyable, and obviously I'll be looking forward to doing some of the other ones as well.
Good to hear. Yeah, you mentioned there the Women's World Match Play. We saw that put on by the PDC in Blackpool last month, and when we were watching it, it looked to be a great success. Did you manage to watch much of it on TV? What was your thoughts on how it went?
Yeah, I thought it was really good to watch. Obviously, there was, I think it's always interesting to watch the ladies on telly. I like watching it. I think it's really exciting in a way. I think, obviously, they could improve on some stuff. Like, I know it was obviously the first year, probably would have separated it out a bit more, but I think that's why they want more ladies in it. But yeah, I thought it was good, and obviously it was a good standard as well, and yeah, it's a start, isn't it?
And what a return it was for you at the weekend, as we said. I mean, on the Saturday, winning both the titles, beating Mikuru Suzuki in both the finals. Were there any nerves at all going into that return to PDC darts? Because watching on it, it looked like you took it all in your stride.
Yeah, I did. I didn't really think too much into it. I just sort of went and played my game, and I just enjoyed it. It was one of them. I just took it game by game and just see what would happen. If I would get beat, I'd get beat. But I did enjoy it. I think, also I said in interviews, that I was just enjoying it. I think it was just so different to what I'm used to playing in, and I think I enjoyed that part of it. So yeah, it's definitely it was a good weekend.
Yeah, the next day on the Sunday, the run continues, and I think it was Chris Murphy in the commentary said that the only match start you faced all weekend was a dart at the ball from Lorraine Winstanley early on that Sunday. So how much confidence did you feel going into each game as the wins kept on coming?
Yeah, I think obviously once I won my first one, I just felt really, really relaxed, and I obviously played Mikuru in 3 finals, and it's never going to be easy against Mikuru. Every game you play against her, you've got to be on it. And yeah, I was just happy that I was, and I was just chucking at Big 20, and then I just seemed to be going in. And yeah, when I was sort of playing the games, I was thinking, just keep going. Like, I wasn't really thinking too much into it all, and before I knew it, I'd won all 4. It was just a big blur.
The Sunday, the 2 finals you had, they were the closest of the weekend. The one with Mikuru going 5-3, the one with Eileen de Graaf, that went 5-3 as well. But completing that clean sweep, we've seen players win 2 Women's Series back-to-back. We've never seen someone win 3, let alone 4 titles in a row. I mean, where does that rank for you in terms of what you've achieved this year?
Yeah, massive, obviously. It was one of them, it was talked about a lot on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and yeah, it was nice to just see a lot of positive comments as well. Obviously, I replied back to all my messages today, and it was just really nice. Obviously, people happy that I am doing the PDC stuff now, and like I say, it's just one of them things that I was always going to do, and yeah, I mean, obviously Lakeside would be my biggest one, and I've obviously had some good comp wins, but yeah, it's definitely up there with one of my best achievements, just the winning all 4. I think that was obviously massive, and yeah, that's a lot of games to win in a row, I suppose. So I'm happy with my stamina, to be honest.
Yeah. And you said to Chris after the last final you enjoyed the weekend, you'd be back for the last Women's Series weekend of the year. That's not until the end of October. So what have you got lined up for these next few months?
I think Brid, and then I'll be going to the England Open, and then I'll be playing for England at the end of September, so I'm looking forward to that. And I think just a few more comps and stuff, and just keep going, and then, like I say, just play everything like normal, and then before you know it, Lakeside will be back around, and it'll just be starting again.
The darts, that's obviously been keeping you busier than ever this year, but as you said before, it's more something you enjoy doing. Is a career in darts long term what you're looking for? I mean, still only 18, or is there any other career or job that maybe interests you away from darts?
Yeah, I don't know at the minute. I suppose, obviously, like I say, I'm not a serious dart player because I don't have loads of bills to pay, and I don't have that pressure on me to have that money come from it. I think that's why I sort of say it. Like I say, I do just enjoy playing at the minute, and I will always enjoy it. If I stopped enjoying it, I won't play. So, but like I say, I'm just going to see what happens, and if I can make a career out of it, then of course I will. But yeah, I'm not putting too much pressure on it at the minute. I'll just see what happens.
Fair enough. And what does a typical week look like for you these days? Most weekends you're obviously busy playing somewhere around the world, but what keeps you busy during the week? Are you playing much darts during the week, or are you mainly spending time with family, friends, doing other things?
Obviously, just playing my darts at the weekend, and I would normally have college through the week, but I'm on my 6-week holidays at the moment, so honestly I'm just practicing and just being in the house, really, going out and just being a normal 18-year-old, I suppose, away from darts. And yeah, I like it like that, and it's good, and just keep my eye in on the board for most of it, and then just chill.
Good times. Well, lastly, actually, you mentioned earlier about that you watched some of your games back. I guess that's more of the serious side of darts, looking back at your games, seeing where you went right, where you went wrong. So what is it you mainly get out of watching your games back?
It's just normally I'll go downstairs and my dad will have it on, and he'll just be chatting to me about it and asking me what I was thinking and stuff, and I'll just sit there and watch it with him and tell him what I was doing and thinking, and yeah, it just makes me laugh watching me send back, to be honest, because it's just weird watching you send on a camera. But yeah, I think it's good in a way just to see what my dad would say, what he thinks. Obviously, he's been with me through my whole 8 years of playing darts. But yeah, it's just more of that. I go downstairs and it's always on telly, so I can't really get away from it, to be honest.
Well, there's plenty of wins to watch back from the weekend with him. Congratulations on the titles at the weekend, and we wish you all the best for the rest of this year as well. And thanks again for your time.
Cheers, Will. Thank you.
I'm pleased to say I'm joined by one of the newest winners on the development tour, Gian Van Veen. Thanks for the time, Gian. How are you doing?
No problem. Yeah, I'm doing good. Just had a busy couple of weeks behind me now, and just get ready for school next week again.
Good to hear. Well, yeah, 2022, as far as the darts is concerned, it's already been a breakthrough year for you, winning your first title on the Challenge Tour, also the development tour as well. How would you assess your year so far?
Yeah, beyond my expectations, to be honest. If someone told me the end of last year or beginning of this year I would make my debut on the Pro Tour, Euro Tour, win 2 PDC titles on the Challenge Tour, one on the Development Tour, I'll be probably calling them crazy. So yeah, it's just living the dream right now.
Well, we'll come back to this year later, but let's go back to the start for you in darts. Growing up in the Netherlands, how old were you when you first discovered darts? How did you get into the game?
I was about 10 years old. I was still playing football, and there was at the football club there was a local darts tournament, and some of my friends invited me, and that's where I started playing for the first time, and I won the tournament. And there were some other local Dutch darts players there, and they asked me if I wanted to continue playing darts and go to more bigger tournaments with them, and that's how I kind of rolled into it.
So from playing football, a team sport where you've got a lot more people involved, to then playing a darts tournament where it's all down to you and you won your first tournament, what was that feeling like when you won it?
Yeah, unbelievable, because as you said, football is a team sport, so of course you're there for your own, but the team, the greater good is more bigger picture. But when you're playing darts, it's all about yourself, and just when you win, then you get that more that's a better feeling when you win on your own.
So from that point on, have you always played darts? Did you juggle the darts and the football at the same time, or from that point on was it darts all the way?
No, I did juggle for 3 months, but then I realized I had to play on Saturday football, but I had to darts on Saturday as well. And I didn't like practice for football, so only the matches. And when I couldn't go to the matches, then it was, it's time to quit football now and fully focus on darts. And that's what I did for the last 10 years.
And obviously, Dutch darts, there's been plenty of people to look up to over the years. Raymond van Barneveld, Michael van Gogh, and others that have been household names. Who is it for you that you maybe looked up to or inspired you to maybe follow in their footsteps?
Not really any Dutchmen. When I started playing, my idol was Gary Anderson. So every time I watched darts on the television, every time it was Gary Anderson playing and rooting for him to win. But for Dutchmen, of course, Marc van Gogh is one of the players that stood out the most and inspired me and probably other Dutch guys as well to follow in his footsteps.
Well, as far as Gary Anderson, we've seen you. We're going to come onto it. You've played a few of the Pro Tours. I mean, I'm guessing really one of the goals has got to be one day to maybe play Gary Anderson. That would be good.
Yeah, it would be good. It would be fantastic, of course.
Before you started then playing on the Development Tour 2018, what was that time like before then playing darts? Did you have a lot of leagues, tournaments to play in when you first started out?
We had the national ranking, which I played until I was 16, or no, not until I was 16, but before the Development Tour, I played on that tournaments and just local tournaments and WDF stuff like Denmark Open, Belgium Open. That's where I played my darts before the PDC stuff. But of course, when I turned 16, I played on the Development Tour, and only like 2 years now fully on the Challenge Tour. Not really WDF stuff anymore. But before the PDC, I played mostly the national rankings.
Yeah, and we saw you have that first taste of the Development Tour when you were old enough in 2018. What do you remember about that first weekend, travelling over to England to play against the best youth players in the world?
Yeah, it was good. The experience was good. The match is not so good for me, but yeah, it was good to gain that experience, especially, as you said, against the better players from my age and older. So I think even if you're not good enough, which I knew back at the time, I wasn't good enough to go to the final or win tournaments, but to gain that experience is valuable. So that's why I played, and it's paying out now.
Definitely, yeah, we can see that, and that's what I was going to come on to, really. I mean, from that first weekend, that first taste of it, was it a eye-opener as far as seeing how much you would have to improve to compete with the best, and did it give you that urge to keep playing, keep practicing, and push as much as you could to see how far you could go in the game?
Yeah, it did, because the first weekend I was there, it's like all of the guys I knew from a couple of years ago, who were then already a couple of years older, but around the same level, have really stepped up their game and getting to the semi-finals. And I knew if they can do it, I want to do it as well. And it really gave me, as you said, that urge to continue practicing and to get better, to make it to the latter stages of the Development Tours.
And from there, we saw you play the full tour of the Development Tour 2019. You then gave Q School a go at the start of 2020. And just before we had the pandemic, you were having your best run to date in the Development Tour, 2 last 16s that first weekend in 2020. Everything did shut down after that. How did that affect your darts? Did you play more at home and online during that time?
Yeah, I played a lot of online stuff. We had a ranking on Tuesday and Friday for the online tournaments with a lot of great players, with tour card holders as well playing in it. And I played maybe every night. I played the online tournament, which really gave my game a confidence boost, because the years before I was playing well at home, but when the tournaments came around, it just didn't happen for me. And when there weren't much tournaments around, and I played mostly at home and online stuff, which I played good in, which gave me the confidence to continue that level at the PDC tournament. So I think the pandemic really helped my game. So yeah, that's not really good to say, but yeah, that really helped me. Yeah,
I mean, we could see that. I was having a look through your results earlier this morning as far as your averages, your performances before the pandemic, after the pandemic, and after that break, we could see that your game had improved. You had, especially playing on the Development Tour, more averages in the high 80s, low 90s. I think there was a 96 in there against Jared Cole when the Development Tour came back. So did you feel like when you did come back, you were a better player, and when things opened up again and you could go to tournaments again?
Yeah, I really had that feeling, because, as I said, the confidence that I gained from the online tournaments back at home, of course it's different when you play at home than when you play at the PDC stuff, but I gained so much confidence from it that I knew when I walked into the room, into the venue for the PDC tournaments, that I can go on and make the semi-finals or maybe even a final. So yeah, that really helped my game.
And even last year as well, we had the split on the Development Tour and the Challenge Tour between the UK and the Europe, with the travel restrictions that we had at the time. And again, we've seen you make more progress, quarterfinals, semi-finals. Did you feel like that benefited you, having that split last year?
It didn't really matter to me, because of course it was nice to make the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, but everyone said, yeah, but you're only playing in Europe, and UK stuff is higher quality and higher standard. And if you look at Dart Connect, you can see it as well. But in that year, it was good for me, for my confidence, to maybe get to the quarterfinals and semi-finals. And now from this year, it was time to show it that I can do it as well with the UK boys involved as well. So yeah, it was good, but it was like not really my biggest test for that year.
Well, we've seen you take it up another notch this year as well, and that brings us on to this year. And I've got to first off mention the Euro Tour, because you made your debut in that back in March, going up against one of the Dutch legends in Vincent van der Voort. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was good. It was firstly the qualifier in Riesa a couple of weeks before. It was on a midweek, and the weekend before I couldn't go to the development tour due to COVID. So I had the feeling that I had to put something right. So I went to the qualifiers and I qualified for my first Euro Tour. And then when I went to Hildesheim for the Euro Tour itself, it was just a great experience. And to play on that stage, and especially against, as you said, a Dutch legend in Vincent, it's just such a great experience. And I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. We are going to see you on the Euro Tour again this year. And you mentioned the development tour. You missed that first weekend this year, but when you did get back on that tour, you were knocking on the door for that first title, a semi-final. A little while later, you had a final losing out in a last leg to Nathan Rafferty. Did you feel like that first PDC title, it wasn't far away?
Yeah, I had the feeling the weekend before already, which the first 4 tournaments I didn't get past the last 64, but I felt like I was playing well enough to get to the semi-finals or final, or maybe even win it. And then I lost the final tournament of my first weekend to Geert Nentjes, which I didn't play good in the semi-final. But then the next tournament next weekend, I made the final, the first tournament. And as you said, I lost in a deciding leg, and I felt nervous during that leg. I was 4-3 up, and in my head I was like, oh, I can win it now. And then my nerves were coming, and I lost that game. But it really helped me the next time in the Challenge Tour when I played the deciding leg as well. But yeah, as you said, I can feel it coming that I was able to win one of these tournaments.
Yeah, you're on the right side of a last leg decider when you get to that next final. And that first title, as you say, comes on the Challenge Tour. And what a way to win it as well. 100 average in your semi-final, 5-0 win, and then a 97 average to edge out David Pallett in that last leg decider in the final. What was that feeling like when you got over the line and you had your first PDC title?
Yeah, unbelievable, especially to be the player like David in the final. You know, when a couple of years ago I watched him make the semi-final of the UK Open, and then to beat him myself in the final of the Challenge Tour, it was unbelievable, especially with the 1:30 checkout for the match. It was, just not really finally, because it was only my second final in the PDC, but it was like, finally I know I can do it, and finally it comes out, and just, that happy feeling.
Yes, a big step. And off the back of that title, you got a call up for the Players' Championship events a few weeks later. How did you find it walking into that room to play in those events? A lot of the big names there.
Yeah, it was fantastic. You know, first day, it was kind of nervous, especially because everyone was there, as you said, all the big guys, and I wanted to prove myself, even though I'm still 20, I got time enough, but I wanted to prove myself. And then first day I lost first round, but second day I won a game, which was my goal for the 3 days, just to win one game, and then we'll see what happens. And I think I succeeded my goals, so it's good. And
then it was back to the development tour and your first title on that tour, and again an impressive way to wrap it up, beating the man who had started that weekend in red hot form, Josh Rock, ending his unbeaten run 5-4 in that final. I mean, how pleasing was it for you to win that title and beat, I guess, in many people's eyes, the best player on the tour in the final as well?
Yeah, it was good. You know, before the final, everyone was like, okay, you can take him on now and good luck. Let's see how far you can go. And in my head, I was like, I know I can beat him, but it will be tough, because if he's on his A game, then probably no one of us can beat him in that venue. But from the get-go, I felt not nervous, just relaxed, and he has to win it, and I can play with freedom. And I was 2-0 down, and then came back 3-2 up, and then 4-3 up, and then I felt like, okay, I can win it again. And the last leg I was quite nervous, but still hit a 14 or 15 darter to win it, so felt, it was unbelievable to beat it, especially him in that final.
A great win. And away from the darts, I also understand you're still in education as well, doing your studies. You mentioned it there, you're going back to school soon. So what is it you're studying, and how difficult has it been to juggle the darts in school, especially as you have been busy with the darts this year?
Yeah, well, I've been busy the last couple of weeks, so it was summer break, so that really wasn't a struggle with school. But Last year I had an internship, but my internship coordinator, he knew about darts, and if I wanted to go, then I was able to go, so that was good. But now I'm in my final year, graduation year, so it will be more tough, but I think with school, they know about it as well, so I think we can work it out.
Good to hear. And just last weekend, you won another of the qualifiers, so we are going to see you back on that Euro Tour stage in Belgium this time. We've still got more Challenge Tour, Development Tour events this year. What else have you got lined up for the rest of this year, darts-wise?
Not that much, really. As you said, Development Tour, I finished the Challenge Tour, the Youth World Championship, of course. The Euro Tour in Belgium. I'm qualified for the WDF World Masters as well in December. And that really is it, I think, for this year. And then up to onto Q School for next year.
Yeah, you mentioned Q School there. We've seen you play it a few times, and as you mentioned, still only 20, so still very young in darts terms. But I'm sure the goal one day is to be on that main tour in the PDC full time. So what would it mean to you to one day have that tour card and be able to compete with the world's best week in, week out?
Yeah, it will mean the world. If it's not really my priority this year, because I want to finish school first, and then maybe next year or the year after, or if this year, if it happens, it happens. But it would mean the world, and it would be fantastic just to play 2 years on a full tour with the best of the best week in, week out.
Well, Gian, we appreciate your time. We know it's been a busy year for you so far. Congratulations on all your success so far, and we wish you all the best for the rest of this year and your final year at school as well.
Thank you very much. No problem. Thank you.
I'm pleased to say I'm joined by one of the co-founders of the Swiss Darts Corporation, Marc Inhelder. Thanks for the time, Marc. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you, and thanks very much for your time. We've got you on to talk about darts in Switzerland, and we'll start with yourself being from Switzerland. How did you first get introduced to darts?
Well, the thing is, one of my friends always went to the Elite Pally every year to watch the final, and so I took notice of darts the first time through my friend, but I was never really interested. Like, I never said, okay, I want to come with you, or I will watch the games on TV. And then somehow one day I went into the city and I saw a dartboard at the normal shop, and I was like, okay, why not buy it? And basically that's how it all started. And from there, was it just playing at home, playing with friends? Was darts just a casual thing, playing whenever you wanted really at that time? Well, I believe I hang it up outside in the garden, and I started to play there. And then I was like, I love it, and I want to compete with my friends. And so we started to do tournaments with people, with groups of 4 or with groups of 6 or something. And that's how we started to do tournaments. And and I also, during that time, I started to follow the action at the PDC, and So from putting up a dartboard in your garden, putting on tournaments with your friends, to then co-founding your own darts organisation, the Steel Dart Club Schaffhausen. Talk to us about that. Exactly. That was during lockdown, I think, in December 2020, when I launched the first tournament with, I think there were 16 players, and that was even at my flat. So we had that first tournament, and 2 of my friends said after the tournament, let's start something bigger. Let's start a darts club, a local darts club. And I was, why not? That's a good idea. And so we launched the darts club like 2 months later in February, and then we had like 50 members within 3 months, and everything went so well. And after the lockdown went away, all the people started to spend time on their normal hobbies and not playing darts. So we lost many members, but we still had the feeling that we could create something bigger than a darts club. And then one of the co-founders and me of the darts club said, let's start something professional. So we had the idea of making darts big in Switzerland, and so that was like basically the start of the Swiss Darts Corporation. Yeah, we'll come on to talk about the Swiss Darts Corporation in a moment, but I just wanted to touch on darts
in Switzerland? Because when we think of darts in Switzerland, there are a few names which will spring to mind for our listeners, one of them being Thomas Younghans, who we've seen several times on our screens, most notably getting to the semi-finals of the World Masters. Were you following darts back then, or what's been the interest really in Thomas's success over the years?
Well, I started to get all the informations from the internet, like about what's going on in Switzerland with darts, and I looked up for the best players and for the biggest tournaments, and of course Thomas was someone whose name I saw on the internet, and watched some YouTube videos about him, and of course also Stefan Belmont, and I started to find interest in Swiss darts, yeah.
And you mentioned another name there, Stefan Belmont, who more recently he's made his mark in the PDC. He's won a Challenge Tour title earlier this year. He's recently signed up with Loxley Darts, the manufacturer, as well. How far do you think he can go in the game?
Well, he's obviously a decent player, because if you can win a PDC Challenger Tour, you have to play good darts, and that's what he did. And he also qualified 2 times for the European Tour this year. And yeah, so, but I think what he needs to do is playing more PDC tournaments, playing more on the big stage to get used to it, because it seemed like he was always a little bit nervous, which is normal, of course, but I think he will have some nice appearances in the future.
Definitely. And away from yourselves, with the Swiss Darts Corporation, we've also got the Swiss Darts Association, which focuses more on the national teams, the national championships, running the Swiss Open, the WDF ranked events. When you guys started your own organisation, what were your main goals on what you wanted to achieve?
Of course, we knew about the Swiss Darts Association, but we said, we don't want to, we want to focus on the single players. We want to create tournament series where you can play by your own, where you don't have to build a team, and where you basically can enter nice tournaments with great setups, with great prize money, with a great location, and because we thought there are no tournaments where the conditions are really, really professional. When I mean professional, like the PDC. So that was our aim.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen that this past weekend, and at the end of last year you helped launch the Swiss Darts Corporation, and we've seen you guys make some big strides already with the introduction of that SDC Tour. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about what the tour is and how it runs?
Yeah, of course. Basically, we have 128 tour card holders this season, so 64 on Saturday, 64 on Sunday, and we have 19 tournaments totally over the year, so 9 weekends. We always play on Saturday and Sunday, 1 tournament each. And basically, we always ask the tour card holders if they will enter the tournaments 2 weeks before the weekend, and if not, there is a chance for a substitute player to replace the tour card holder. So we always look that we have a full field, 64 players, and then we play group stages. So every player has at minimum 3 games, best of 5 legs, and afterwards we go to the knockout stage. And yeah, from there it is 7, 9, 11, and winner takes 500 Swiss francs and a Q-School ticket for the first 10 tournaments this season.
And as you say, the tour card holder system you're running for the tour, we've had the first 2 events of the year this past weekend, and it was open to anyone to sign up and play, get that tour card and play on the circuit. And it wasn't just players from Switzerland that signed up. You had other countries represented in there as well. How pleased were you with the uptake in entries for the tour?
Well, we love to see that. We had so many interests, from Germany and also from parts not from the middle of Switzerland, from the from the north of Switzerland, and also I think we have a player from Austria, and next month there will be 2 players from England even, and but basically, we hope in the future we will have even more players from other countries, and also we spread the tournaments through almost whole Switzerland. So that you don't have always to travel to the same spot, so we can reach even more people from the whole country.
Excellent. And looking at how the events were run as well, you had them covered on Dart Connect, 2 boards streamed as well, and as you mentioned, starting off with that group stage so that everyone gets a minimum of 3 games each day on the Saturday, then the Sunday as well. For you, how important did you feel it was to use that round-robin format at the start to give every player more game time?
Well, we believe if you only play knockout stage, then you won't reach that many players, because if someone knows, okay, I need to travel 2 or even 3 hours, and then I can play maybe a best of 7 game after 4 legs, I could go home because I'm playing one of the best players. I don't think he will sign up, and I don't think he is ready to pay 250 Swiss francs for the whole season. So you need to give the players a lot of games, a lot of game time, so they can develop and enjoy the tournament, which is the most important, I think.
And one player who got plenty of game time at the weekend was Marcel Wolpen. We're calling him the Swiss Stompy because of his resemblance to my favourite player, Co Stompe, winning both the events. One of our listeners, Lars, got in touch and said that Marcel, he's only just returned to steel tip darts. He's been playing a lot of soft tip, but an impressive return for him, winning both the events. Just tell us a little bit more about Marcel, the Swiss Stompe.
Yeah, I didn't hear a lot of him, to be honest, like during the last 2 years. But then I saw like a Facebook post like 1 month ago where he beat Stefan Belmont at the Swiss tournament. So I was like, oh, he needs to be good. And we were really excited to see him playing at our tournaments. And yeah, we knew he's one of the favorites to win it, even because Belmont missed the last weekend. So we expected him to go deep, but we didn't expect him to win both tournaments. And the standard he was playing was really outstanding. So because I think he averaged 83 the second day and 76 the first day, and he had 3 Tom Plus checkouts in the final even. So he will be interesting to watch in the future, and especially at the Q School 2023, I think.
Definitely shown a lot of potential there, and I think I saw there's a handful of places left for the next weekend of the tour events. But away from the tour, what else have the SDC got planned for the rest of this year? Any other events lined up?
Yeah, we do. We plan a doubles weekend, like pairs tournaments in the spring 2023. We already had one with 64 teams, and we got great feedbacks from the players, so we want to repeat that in the next spring. Well, the biggest event we plan to do is in May 2023. We want to do the biggest steel tournament in Switzerland ever with 256 players. Basically, it's the season final, and so we already have 100 tour card holders, but we want additional to that 150 additional players. So we have a field of 250 players with prize money of 10,000 Swiss francs, just as a PDC Challenger Tour or a development tour. And we have already booked a great location just by the sea, by the mountains in Bern. It's the capital of Switzerland, and we're really looking forward to it.
Exciting times, and looking at the setup that you've got with the tours, as we said, with the streams, with Dart Connects, with the boards, it's a very professional setup that you guys have got with the tour. Have you guys had any communication yet with the PDC or PDC Europe about what you guys are doing for darts in Switzerland? Is there any scope for maybe a link up in the future?
Not yet, but that's a good point, because I'm not going to hide the fact that we aspire to have a collaboration with the PDC, and that's what we aim for. But I think we need some time, because we are just at the beginning and we can still develop and getting better a lot. So, but that's definitely something we are looking forward to have in the future. And if it's not happening, we're still happy with the things we can reach by our own. But doing something with the PDC together will be amazing.
Let's hope so. And as you say, it is early days, but recent years we have seen the PDC take the European Tour to new countries, the Czech Republic, Hungary. How far away do you think we are to maybe seeing an event like a Euro Tour in Switzerland?
Well, what I heard from other people is that the costs in Switzerland are just too expensive, like to set up everything, to pay people, to set up the things. And but I think if there is a darts hype in Switzerland, like in Germany, the Netherlands, or England, this will not be an excuse. Like we just need a player like Belmo who will have some matches at the Worlds, and who will attract the attention of the Swiss people. And and of course we also try to promote darts as good as possible in Switzerland. And maybe the PDC will take notice and also will do some tournaments here, which will be great, of course. Yeah.
Fingers crossed for that. Well, you guys are doing a great job with what you're doing at the moment. Keep up the great work that you guys are doing, Marc, and we appreciate your time and wish you guys and all the guys at the SDC all the best for the rest of the year as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I hope to speak to you soon, maybe in a year, and look where we stand then.
180.
Thanks again to our guests for joining us, to Beau Greaves, to Gian Van Veen and to Marc Inhelder, all for their time this week. Big thanks to everyone for listening as well, and big thank you to our sponsor as always, Dartwolf. If you want more Dynamite Darts content, head on over to dartwolf.tv. You can give Dartwolf a follow on Twitter as well, at Dartwolf180. That's just about all the time we've got for you on this week's show, and we'll be back next week with a few more guests. We'll hopefully have a guest co-host, or we'll have Burton back in the fold and we can have a chat, and we'll be looking back at all the latest goings on in darts. We've got the Euro Tour back this weekend, so we'll be looking back at that, and maybe we'll do a little review of this past weekend, the Women's Series and that final World Series as well, and we'll get to some of your listener questions as well. So until then, enjoy the rest of your week, enjoy the darts. If you're watching it, if you're playing it, you've only got to do one thing, and that is to enjoy the darts. And as Burton's not here, I'll take his sign off as well. Hang tight.